Tight ends are the most underappreciated position group in the NFL. They are glorified offensive linemen and undervalued wide receivers. Although in some rare cases, the tight ends are actually the most valuable weapon on a team. Let's talk about who the greatest tight ends of all time are. And no, Travis Kelce won't be here. I don't include current or active players in these lists.
Coming in here at my honorable mention, I have Ozzy Newsome. When making top tight end lists, I can't quite understand why people just skip over Ozzy Newsome. Well, more I think about it, yes I can, it's because he's a Cleveland Brown.
Quick newsflash, people. Even though the Browns don't have any Super Bowl victories, they account for 4 league MVPs since 1957. Anyways, now that my tangent's over, let's get back to where we were. When I think of the name of Ozzy Newsome, the first thing that comes to mind is that it sounds exactly like the name of a wizard or even a Jedi. And well, to be honest, that's exactly what he was like. Newsome was magical, being a vertical threat tight end. Being 6'2", 232 pounds, he had a big stature and he was quick but not fast. Ozzy would become the greatest tight end and even arguably receiver in Cleveland Browns history. He deserves that much, at least. While playing with Brian Sipe and Bernie Kosar does help you out quite a bit, he still deserves all the love that everyone else gets. Ozzy would not only break many receiving records, but he would hold them for a long time, until the likes of Josh Gordon came along and finally broke them. While never winning any awards or winning any Super Bowl rings, Ozzy would come up huge in the 86 and 87 playoffs, having over 100 plus yards in both playoff runs. Newsome would finish his career with a total of 662 catches for 7,980 yards and 47 touchdowns. While those numbers don't really jump out on paper, if you remember correctly, this is when the start of the passing era would be. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, his career lasted from 1978 to 1990. He would be elected to 3 Pro Bowls, 4 All-Pro second teams, and a singular All-Pro first team.
Coming in here at the top of my personal list of the greatest tight ends of all time, I have Kellen Winslow Sr. That's a tongue twister to me. I don't know what to tell you guys. Now, I feel like he's very, very interchangeable with Newsome at 5 and 6, but either way, you can't go wrong. He does deserve to be top 6 at minimum.
If you combine the games played for Winslow, his career total would be about 6 years worth of games. He was absolutely terrifying when he was on the field, actually finishing top 6 in MVP voting one year. Winslow was a strictly pass-catching tight end and was not designed for run blocking at all. Being 6'5" shows all the signs of being a blocker, but then he realizes dude was built like the cinnamon stick from the Apple Jacks commercial, and he was only 215 pounds. Either way, he was incredible when he played, having 91 career starts. He would be part of one of only 2 times in the Chargers' history they've been good, going to 3 straight playoffs before losing in the Super Bowl or before the Super Bowl in all of them. Typical Chargers. I feel for Chargers fans at this point. Either way, Winslow would come up huge in all 3 series, just never enough. Having almost 400 receiving yards in 6 games with his best playoff performance in 1981. Winslow had a very short career, which sucks because it means he can't go any higher than number 5 on this list. He would wind up staying with the Chargers his entire career, never winning any Super Bowls, obviously. He finished his career with 541 catches for 6,741 yards and 45 touchdowns. Winslow would also be elected to 5 Pro Bowls, 1 second-team All-Pro, and 3 first-team All-Pros. If only Winslow had been smart enough to leave San Diego.
Coming in here at number 4, I have yet another Chargers tight end. Some of you might be shocked to hear how low he is on this list, but I have Antonio Gates. Antonio Gates really made me question my knowledge of football because every Sunday he would go out there and do whatever he damn well pleased.
Gates was old as hell when he retired in 2018, being 38 years old. He's got nothing on Tom Brady though. Anyways, Gates was an amazing spectacle of talent. While Gates would only have 2 years with over 1,000 receiving yards, a true testament to his greatness was how long he played and the level he played at. He played 16 years and only had less than 500 receiving yards 3 times. Gates would do his best alongside Phillip Rivers to bring Chargers fans happiness. But just like always in his 7 playoff appearances, one of which they had the MVP winner in LaDainian Tomlinson, they would come up short, continuing Chargers fans' misery. Gates himself would perform about as solid as can be in the playoffs, averaging a little over 40 receiving yards per game. Unfortunately, due to the fact that he wasn't ever a superstar level, I feel I can't put him any higher. Playing a long time can only get you so far in rankings, and my back hurts just thinking about it. Antonio would finish his career a 0-time Super Bowl winner, which is just sad times, man. He caught 955 passes for 11,841 yards, which is 3rd all-time by a tight end, and 116 touchdowns, which is most all-time by a tight end, and 7th all-time by anyone. He'd be elected to 8 consecutive Pro Bowls, which are his 8 Pro Bowl appearances. He'd have 3 All-Pro first-team appearances and 2 All-Pro second-team appearances. Just greatness. Fun fact, he and I share the exact same birthday, except like 23 years apart. He was a big boy, being 6'4" and 255 pounds.
The third best tight end of all time, and undisputably so, has got to be Jebediah Putzer. He was just so incredibly talented. Wait, no, wrong Broncos tight end. The Broncos tight end that we're talking about here is Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe was absolutely incredible during his prime.
Sharpe was one of two brothers who was absolutely incredible in the NFL. If you're curious who his brother was, go check him out in this video above. Sharpe was a star, and that's what he was always supposed to be. Younger generations, including my generation, may just know him as a co-host of Undisputed, and may not know that he was literally the third best tight end of all time. My opinion, of course. Sharpe would understand perfect timing, as he would leave his first team and join the Ravens, win a Super Bowl, and go right back to the Broncos. Sharpe not only won a Super Bowl with the Ravens, but he also won 2 with the Broncos. He was definitely great in his time, but I feel he could have been elevated to an even higher level if Elway and Davis never existed. Although without them, he definitely wouldn't have 2 of his 3 Super Bowl wins. What holds Sharpe down though is his outlandish football knowledge. Calling Kelsey the greatest tight end ever? Yeah, okay. Kelsey couldn't block a little kid if he tried. All jokes aside, I'm terrified of all NFL athletes, and they would destroy me. Either way, Shannon was incredible in his prime, having 4 1,000-yard seasons in 5 years. In the playoffs, he averaged a little over 40 yards per game, which isn't bad at all, and he won 3 rings, so I guess it was more than good enough. Sharpe would finish his career with 815 catches for over 10,000 yards and 62 touchdowns. He would be elected to 8 Pro Bowls, 4 first-team All-Pros, and 1 second-team All-Pro. Sharpe was incredible, and if you're not already, you should get educated on his game.
And coming in at number 2, I debated whether I should have him even on the list or not, because whether he unretires or retires again for that 8,000th time, I don't know. But number 2 is Rob Gronkowski. Really quick, I want everybody to know that this is my opinion. This is my listing. If you have something different, then that's cool. I'd like to have your guys' opinions. I want you guys to comment down below what your list would be. And yeah, if you guys do like this video, make sure to like and make sure to leave a comment too below. That really does help. And if you're not already, click subscribe, because 99% of you who watch my videos aren't. So, but without further ado, let's get right back to the video.
Gronk had an 11-year-long career, or should I say marriage to Tom Brady. I see why Brady and his wife got a divorce. It's because Gronk was in the picture. Anyway, Gronk would be a demon in his prime. Might be the strongest human being I've ever witnessed. People are scared of Derrick Henry now. They must have been terrified of Gronk in his prime. Earning the nickname Gronk, kind of like the Hulk, he smashed. Not only opposing players, but also hot chicks, which are his words, not mine. Gronk is a 4-time Super Bowl champ, and for good reason. He followed Brady. Okay, I'm sorry, enough with the Brady jokes. Gronk would literally drag 3 or 4 defenders down the field, dragging them on his way to the end zone. If there's one thing Gronk did better than anyone else, it was score touchdowns. Gronk would score 92 touchdowns in his 11-year career. Mind you, he only played in 143 games. Gronk would decide at one point football wasn't worth it, and he retired in 2019 at the age of 30, just because injuries and CTE were worrisome, as they should be. He decided he wanted to play again, came back, and won a Super Bowl, then left again, just a year later. Gronk did everything himself, doing whatever and whenever he wanted. He also had 620 catches for 9,286 yards. This dude was the dictionary definition of rack or run after catch. In the playoffs, he averaged nearly 70 yards per game, which is the best numbers we've seen by a tight end in the playoffs. And they pretty much are if you don't consider like singular or 2-game performances. He would also score 15 more touchdowns in the playoffs, only being elected to 5 Pro Bowls, which is incredibly underwhelming. He would make up for it by winning Comeback Player of the Year in 2014. He'd be elected to 4 first-team All-Pros.
Coming in at number 1, the greatest Chiefs tight end, not just Chiefs, but greatest tight end ever, is going to be Tony Gonzalez. And yes, Travis Kelce hurt me in places we don't talk about. Gonzalez played a 17-year career, averaging over 900 yards a year, which is just wild to think about even today.
Having 4 seasons of over 1,000 yards. He, like most tight ends, was tall, being 6'5", and he was 247 pounds. Not really known for his blocking, but he could definitely lay down a block if he needed to. He was definitely a vertical threat tight end though. He served really well when he played, except for the playoffs. He seemed to vanish just like Aaron Hernandez's girlfriend. He would only average less than 40 yards per game in the playoffs, which is the worst statistically out of everyone on this list. He wouldn't start a single game in his rookie season, but every year after that, he was a starter and played in all 16 games. He was an Iron Man. Gonzalez would never win a Super Bowl, which is expected from a Chiefs or Falcons player before the year 2018. Gonzalez would play in 270 consecutive games and would start in 254 of them, which is a record at tight end. Speaking of records, he holds the record for most receptions, 1,325 by a tight end, which is 3rd all-time by anyone. Yards, 15,127, most by a tight end, 6th most by anyone, and 2nd most touchdowns, with 111, second to Antonio Gates, but 8th all-time by anybody. If you have anyone but Gonzalez at number 1, I truly don't know what to tell you. You're too far gone for help. There's not much else I have to say about Tony. He's the undisputed GOAT.